Welcome back, everybody, to I Quit My Band. It's me, Jimmy Fallon. Oh, Big Justice Rizzler. Oh, my God. Do the Riz face.
Do it.
Oh, yeah, dude. That's good. Welcome back to I Quit My Band. My name's Nate.
I'm Big Justice.
You almost said Big Justice immediately.
Yeah.
That's almost, you were just like, that's my name.
You had to stop yourself from calling yourself Big Justice,
I'm Big Justice.
as you've been known.
Yeah.
I'm Evan.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. We got a big old night of podcasting and reviewing tonight. I'm very excited. Got another review for Tyler, the Creator's new album, Chromakopia, that we're going to be diving into pretty soon. But before we get into that, I want to just say, go follow us on Instagram. Go follow us on TikTok. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Comment down below. And also subscribe to our Patreon. We have a new Patreon episode that just went up called Still Bringing It.
What's that about?
Where we covered quite a few artists in that episode. But one in particular, AJ and Big Justice, we covered their new single, Still Bringing It.
The most popular emerging artists of 2024.
Probably the best the most creative artist in 2024.
Right.
They were just on Jimmy Fallon. Just a great appearance on Jimmy Fallon. Everyone did just such a great job.
They just announced their tour.
Yeah, from crew to guests, I think everyone did a really bang-up job in that interview.
Jimmy Fallon didn't look like he was held at gunpoint.
No.
At any point. Did not want to breeze through the segment as quickly as possible.
He really loved that and really showed Big AJ and Justice his love.
Yeah. It's not like AJ pulled him aside before. He was like, I'm going to Bowflex your ass if you don't fucking...
If you don't do that.
comply.
I think Jimmy Fallon was mad because they were like stepping on his like gimmick. I feel like Boom or Doom is like something he would
have come up with. Yeah,
you know,
like we did that on the show 8 years ago. That's pretty funny that it would just pop up again now. Yeah. Oh wow!
I went to Costco and no one gave a shit.
No one cared at all. Just Jimmy Fallon interrupting Big Justice doing the Boom or Doom was one of the funniest things.
Yeah, it's like a 12-year-old child.
It's a 12-year-old child.
Yeah.
Big was like, I give that 2 booms. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
that's enough. Rizzler, what do you think? He's like, I give it a boom. He's like, okay, that's who I wanted to hear from. These two idiots. I don't give a shit.
He's the star of the show. We
He's
know.
the star of the show.
How old is the Rizzler, you think?
I want to say like 9.
9?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Either that or he's like an ancient...
He's an ancient being. Yeah.
Yeah.
that knows no age.
Yeah, he's just been around for ages.
That's what I would hope. I hope the Rizzler stays like that forever. Like he's like Hasbullah or whatever.
Yeah. That's kind of the hope, honestly.
That's his best case scenario because
a 24-year-old Rizzler is going to be tough.
Yeah,
and Big Justice. I mean, I'm sure Big AJ is working on some technology right now. We're gonna keep you guys kids forever, so we can keep doing this.
Probably working on some sort of surrogate so he can pump
Yeah.
out more.
He's like that
large eyebrow.
No one wants to see you guys go through puberty. It's gonna be fucked up.
Yeah, he's like the mom in Sixth Sense.
Yeah. So moving on from that, go check out that interview and go check out our podcast episode, our most recent Patreon episode, Still Bringing It.
It's what all the cool kids are doing.
It's all the rage. So go sub on Patreon.
Sub on YouTube. We're killing it.
And the sub on a nice thank you to everyone that subbed on YouTube recently. We hit 700. We've surpassed 700 and we're a part of the 700 club now with what was his name?
Pat Robertson.
Pat Robertson.
Yeah. That old goal. Get to sit at the table with that guy.
I thought it was Jimmy Swaggart.
No, I think he's another one of those type southern
Jimmy Swaggart
TV god guys. Yeah.
I had a TV growing up in my parents' house that only had like 3 channels on it, and just every time I woke up in the morning, it would be Jimmy Swaggart.
Yeah, the JSN, the Jimmy Swaggart Network.
The JSN.
All Swaggart, all the time.
Still swagging it.
This is one of his primo masses from '81.
I knew a lot about Jimmy Swaggart when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But enough about Jimmy Swaggart or Pat Robertson or the Rizzler,
AJ.
any of those religious figures. We're here to talk about one guy, and that's Tyler, the Creator. What was that?
I said Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Of course.
The Trinity.
The Rizzler.
Trinity.
Really rounds out that trilogy. All right, enough. Let's get on with the goddamn
we could go on all day
are
about these guys.
broken.
Yeah, they've already turned the fucking video off. Let's get to the
Jesus
review.
And the election hasn't even happened
I
yet.
know. Fuck. All right. We're here to talk about one man, and that man's name is Tyler, the Creator, who just put out an album just yesterday, a Monday, which is unlike any other artist working today. No one's putting stuff out on a Monday anymore. His new album, Chromakopia. He announced it like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. He put out just one single for it, and the album's already here. And I read today that it broke streaming records.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's like maybe like the 16th like in history for streaming or something like that, for a rap album or something like that.
Maybe case in point, put out your record on a Monday while everybody's at work and they can listen to your stuff.
Yeah, he's kind of genius in that way, where it's just like, everyone's releasing their records on a Friday. Everyone's listening to all different types of shit. This was like the only fucking record that came out on a Monday.
Smart as fuck.
Yeah, very smart. And judging by that lead single, which we covered and Still Bringing It, the Patreon episode,
subscribe.
We knew we were kind of in for a wild ride with Tyler. I mean, I think his last record, Call Me If You Get Lost, was more straight up hip hop. The record before that, IGOR, was more artsy and R&B style, and I felt like, judging by Noid and just like all the promotional stuff he was doing for Chromakopia, the cover, the video with him in like the desert with like this giant fucking
storage container.
Yeah, the storage container, this big army plane, and people following him. It was like we're back to getting artsy Tyler.
Yeah, I was really curious about the promo rollout. I've always liked Tyler's aesthetic that he chooses for things. Especially that, he's like one of the biggest rappers like going, so he can kind of choose his spots exactly how he wants to, as opposed to like 15 years ago or however long it was, where he was kind of just at the whim of the system. So, if he wants to put out a record on a Monday, nobody's telling him no. And it's case in point, like I said, with the general look and the feel of everything leading up, it got me excited. As like, I would consider myself not a super deep fan, like I don't know any fucking lore or like whatever, but like it got me very interested what he was doing.
Yeah, I would agree. I liked Call Me If You Get Lost the most out of like the trilogy, because that's really kind of he after Cherry Bomb, I think he completely changed people's perception of him as an artist.
Yeah.
Cherry Bomb was pretty ambitious, like sonically and production wise, but Flower Boy was the first one that like he really emerged as like, oh, here's this like serious artist within hip hop. And every album since, he's been able to pivot or reach new ground sonically to where, like, it's become like an event when he drops a record.
Yeah.
And I felt similar when I saw like the rollout. I saw the cover and stuff like that. It's like, oh, he's really going to like, he's really trying to continue that trend of like, every time I put something out is this new statement of like artistic growth or something like that. Did that ultimately pan out that way? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
We'll have to dive in. Did you? So you said you weren't like, you didn't know a whole bunch about Tyler until like IGOR.
Yeah,
right?
IGOR was kind of my way in.
Did you have a way in? Like, was how
Yonkers.
long? Yonkers. Yeah, me too. Yeah, Goblin, where he was just kind of. I think I said it in the last episode. Like, he was this like kind of like thorn in like the rap, genre side of. He was saying some crazy shit on those records, saying some slurs, kind of going just buck wild. He was, at that time, Odd Future was a big thing.
And they would, like, antagonize old heads.
And,
like, old heads would be like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, they're dressing in pink shirts.
Yeah,
and,
the Supreme shirts.
Golf
Wang. It was just, like, a whole goofy, like, statement. Like, whether, like, the music was to be taken seriously, but at the same time, like, they also had like a skit show on like Cartoon Network, Loiter Squad. He did really goofy promos and stuff for his albums, like nothing like this serious pivot that he's taken since Flower Boy. I think I watched an interview a while ago where he said like Pharrell was the person that told him to kind of like stop doing what he was doing. He was like, "You're so good, and you just need to like focus on fucking being good rather than like being this antagonist character." And I think people know him for that now. Like he really did make that shift. But did it come up on Chromakopia?
That's the question we're answering.
Yeah, we'll figure that out, huh?
We gotta dive in.
Yeah.
It's I Quit My Band. It's Tyler the Creator. Here's the first track, Saint Chroma.
This is this. I don't know who the person is. I feel like it might be his mom or something.
I think that's right.
I think it is his mom.
She's a recurring sample throughout the record, and it's interesting that it opens with it and kind of closes with it too. I think.
Yeah, it does.
Spoiler alert.
I think this is the song that he had soundtrack that first teaser he put out for the record.
Yeah, where they like march into the storage container and explode.
Yeah. What did you guys think of this one?
I like it a lot. I think the production's really cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what to think with like this whispering at first, but there's like a beat switch 2 minutes in that is just like insanely hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like when he's able to like make these really big dramatic like creative shifts in a song, but it still feels like a rap song.
Yeah.
I really like a lot.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Like the whispers, I was like, okay, I can't even really understand what he's saying here. But it's so like Tyler to like be creepy and just weird, and it's like if it's not working sonically, he's still gonna go for like on Cherry Bomb, like that album was just like pure distortion. Like you couldn't even like hear his vocal underneath so many of those instrumentals. And I love this vocal melody that comes in here.
Yeah, it almost sounds like dark fantasy a little bit.
Little bit.
Get much higher.
Yeah, I thought that too.
That reminds me of like stuff like that is all over Igor.
Yes.
I feel like he might have some sort of, you know, the condition synesthesia where you hear a word, think color, or he might have that because like,
that beat switch is so
dirty. Because like everything's very like green and military colored for this.
Yeah.
Igor is very pink, but he's mixing a lot of to be like whatever it is about it. He's mixing a lot of colors on a lot of these songs.
Yeah, I would agree too. One thing that I thought about the instrumental, like those like weird little synths in the background, it reminded me a lot of how Goblin sounded. Like the synths on Goblin, how they kind of had that like cartoonish quality.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I picked up on. I was like, I haven't heard him do this sound. Maybe like little bits here and there, but I haven't heard him like use that as like the basis for a song since Goblin, which is I feel like he was kind of trying to probably forget about Goblin.
Yeah, it does. It almost seems like there's like this like dividing line between two eras of his work. And but yeah, I would say that on this record I don't feel as much new sonic ground is being broken, but it feels like he is going back through like all of the stuff
agree with that,
and
totally
piecing it
agree.
together.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next song. This is Ratata.
This is one of the harder songs I've heard all year.
This is one of the. I think this is the hardest song on the record, aside from maybe one or two others. This is probably what should have been the first single outside, not Noid, because I think Noid is one of the artsier ones.
I just want to like fuck shit up to this song.
Yeah,
you know,
and
I want to like take a light tube and smash it in a dumpster.
Yeah,
you know,
it's got that creepy fucking. That like almost like horrorcore vibe that they had back in the day.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, really on this song, he's known for like doing these like diary type of lyrics. But on this song, it just feels like he's just fucking boasting.
Yeah.
Classic fucking braggadocious.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like great flow, great lyrics, great beat. And then, like, he has, like, 2 refrains, and they're both good.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah.
he has, like, the one where...
Call Me Back one.
Call Me Back, and then it's, like, 50,000 on it.
Yeah, I forgot about the 50,000.
There are, like, multiple choruses almost to this song that it's just sticky as fuck.
Listen to that fucking bass.
Yeah, that like, sub-bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite, if not, like, top 3 on the record, for
I
sure.
thought so, too, yeah.
He uses bass very effectively on all of this music to add, like, a certain level of, like, disgustingness to some of these songs. Like, the prettier ones he doesn't, obviously.
Yeah.
But, like that, like, shitty car rumbling bass.
Yeah.
Like, I love
it makes
that.
the whole song sound so, like, lo-fi.
Hard. Yeah, exactly. Like, guys with a pimped out piece of shit car with, like, a $10,000 sub in the back or something like that.
And it's just driving past you, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And like, oh, it's just those morons.
Oh, it's just Tyler, the Creator.
Yeah. Should we move on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, there is one really good part where he's like, or those women.
Oh, yeah.
Like, where he cuts out.
Or those women.
Well, that's just something I wanted to say, and it's like just kind of, you can move on to the next one, but it's like, there's like so many little details in all of this stuff. Like, the way that we make music, we're like rock guys, right? So it's like, if a song is done, it's like there's a couple verses, a couple choruses, whatever, poof, done. Maybe you add a few extra guitars to the like chorus or something like that, right? I really admire the detail that goes into making hip hop music because like, you know, for the most part in those songs, you're like piecing shit together from like all kinds of different places and examining shit with a fine-tooth comb. So who would have thought to like cut out the entire mix and just have him sing and those women
or those women.
Yeah, like a narrator.
Yeah, like I was looking up lyrics to quite a few of these songs, and like you're reading the lyrics as you're listening along, and you can see everything, and then in the lyrics that are written, there's like, you know, this parentheses, and then someone says this, and then you like listen in the song, and it's like barely there.
Yes.
It's like, who is that? Why is it there? What's the significance for it to be in the song? Like, it feels like everything. It doesn't feel random, I would say, even though it sounds random.
It's intentional.
It feels very intentional. It feels like it actually has a purpose of being there. But this is Noid. We talked about this on the last one we just did. I think this is easily the weirdest song on the record.
Yeah,
I would agree. Yeah, it's the most adventurous. It feels the most like maybe like a sonic step forward, like with the guitar and like the mixing all these things up. Like you have the sample of, I don't know what language that man is singing. But yeah, it definitely feels like the biggest creative swing, and to have that come out first was interesting because you're like introducing people on like maybe the most wild out there thing. But I also think it gave me maybe a bit different expectations for the record with like the image, the rollout. I thought it was going to have like this very consistent theme or like a thematic kind of core to it. And it doesn't feel that way. Like with like the guys all wearing their mask, leading like the leader leading them to their doom, and then this is like about like paranoia built by fans and stuff like that. Like that's not a theme that gets picked up the rest of the record. I think if anything, like the theme on the record is just it's more personal. Throughout.
I was gonna say, I was like, because like IGOR, the one that I like a lot, is like definitely like a story that you follow through the whole thing, right? This one I was expecting that similar thing, and so I'm like, okay, the theme is paranoia, because like the first like 3 or 4 songs or something touch on that, and then just dropped, and then you don't really talk about it anymore, and then it gets really personal, like Evan said.
Yeah, I was expecting this album to like kind of go in the same direction that, after hearing this song, go in the same direction that like Cherry Bomb did almost, where it's like we're gonna do distorted guitars and bass under it, like as like the basis for all of these instrumentals, but it's not that like at all. It only shows up here, and the theme of paranoia gets dropped pretty immediately, and there's a little bit of like Flower Boy in there with like how what's the word, like confessional in it. It is, but in like a different way. It's like it seems to be more about like maturity after a while than maybe like figuring yourself out. just like navigating like getting older. That's the biggest takeaway that I thought. But you know what? That's an end of album conversation to have. Let's keep going. This is Darling I.
This is where the tone starts to shift.
Yeah. Gets a little bit softer. This reminded me of Flower Boy the most, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of a lovey-dovey situation.
I think out of like the more melodic ones, this is probably my favorite though.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites.
I think it has like a pretty strong melodic core, and but his like performance on it is still really good. There's a couple on there that like he lands on like an instrumental section or like a melodic section, and it just kind of feels like it breathes for like a minute and a half and doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah,
like this doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, this just feels like a nice pop song. You know, it's got a good melody. It kind of goes for a while, but
he's got those like the drop it like it's hot.
Yeah, it's got those like again like those weird little like cheap sounding synthesizers in there that I feel like has become a signature for him too. Like it feels cartoonish. You know what I mean? Like it feels like he did like the Grinch soundtrack for that like cartoon Grinch movie, and I'm like, it still feels like the Grinch soundtrack in a way.
There's one song on the back half that like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It sounds so much like a video balloon.
Oh yeah,
it sounds like a video game, like a Super Nintendo song.
Yeah, that one does feel like just a fucking Pac-Man game.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also a ton of features on this record. Did you look up the feature list?
I did not.
I did, and I'll get to it when we get to the one song, but I'm really glad that they didn't show you them on Spotify.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, they're all just by him. I wonder how that works.
I was gonna try to figure out or just look up real quick who the feature was on this song.
Is it Touchdown? What's his name?
Tizo Touchdown.
Yeah.
On Darling I. And yeah, Bonita Smith is, I guess, Tyler's mom, who is the narrator that shows up. But yeah, a ton of features on the album. They didn't reveal any of them. I like that he did that. It feels like
seems cool.
He made an album to make, all these people are on the album for a reason, not just to like grab and go,
And I think that's like bore out by how they are actually featured on the album too, because there's some like left field features.
Yeah.
And you're like, you couldn't have used that person better.
Yeah.
And like Schoolboy Q shows up on a song, and it sounds like a Schoolboy Q song.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, look who I got. Yeah. It's like this person would be perfect for this song.
This part. Yeah, there's not really like a take it away moment where it's like, now this is, we have you featuring just so we can say featuring whoever the fuck, It's like they were actually utilized in a way that would be useful for the fucking song.
And like not announcing the features is like kind of allows the focus to just be on the music, so you're not just constantly digging
100%.
through like, ooh, I wonder who this is.
Yeah. This is the next song. This is Hey Jane. I feel like this is going to be the one that people talk about probably the most out of any on this album. This is like probably the most confessional of any on the record, where it seems like Tyler's talking about having like a pretty like a pregnancy scare that's like pretty serious, and I had read that it was like with an older woman, which is another like kind of crazy thing about Tyler the Creator, because like since Flower Boy, it was like he's hinting at his sexuality, and like it used to be like a big deal on Flower Boy, and then like Call Me If You Get Lost, he made a whole bunch of other references to him possibly being gay, and it was just like no one. At that point, I was like, okay, yeah, it doesn't matter. And now he's like, I got some lady pregnant,
some older woman pregnant,
some older lady pregnant. Yeah.
This song reminds me a lot of like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
I can see that.
Kind of the vibe, and then it reminds me specifically of that song. I forget what it's called, but like him and that woman get in a fight.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You're so right about that.
But it's
like the less intense version.
And he's playing both parts.
Yeah.
He doesn't have like a female. Like he plays the female portion of it.
Yeah.
But I feel like that album, there are parts of this album that reminded me of that album in just that it's this guy talking very like nakedly about his life.
Yeah.
I mean, this song was, I think, much like if you're gonna have a song about a pregnancy scare with like some lady that you don't know, this is like, you know, this conversation's like best case scenario for a conversation like that. Like they're both, if this is actually how it went, both very nice to each other, both very polite.
Like,
you know, I support you. If it was anyone, you know, I'm lucky that it happened with you. If this was going to happen to me, that was very nice. He's like, he has a line that I liked a lot that was just like, my mom's going to be happy, your mom will as well. It's just like, they're just looking at it as like, you know, if we're doing this, it's not going to be the end of the world. You know, like we'll figure it out.
Perhaps it's him talking to himself though. About
Possibly,
the conversation.
yeah.
He's like, I hope this is how this goes.
Yeah,
I have not called
that's
her
what I'm
yet.
saying, yeah.
I've not said a word yet.
And I read online that apparently Hey Jane is the name of a website where you can get like morning after pills.
Oh, okay, I get
So
it.
that's part of the.
I get it. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Checks out.
But yeah, I just really liked the lyrical content of the record and how Tyler looks at, like, you know, having a kid. Like he's like, because he talks about getting older a lot in this record and how I think he's like 33 now or something. And I feel like a lot of his audience probably still knows him as like a young man that's like reckless. But he's saying that's so fucking weird. He's saying a lot about how like he can't believe that like he's never had a scare before in his life. How could he be so reckless?
Yeah.
He has a line about how like, you know, it's unfair that the woman has to carry all this emotional weight and go through the actual pregnancy and like go through the actual birth of the child, but you still take the man's last name. Like I thought, like, he just like, if this is how he handles it, he's grown into a nice young man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you're
he's
proud
grown
of him.
yeah, you feel kind of proud of him. It's
Buddha
like,
thunk.
yeah, it's like he's not just like, it's not, you know, like causing a like the Kendrick Lamar song. It's not like having a fight just for the sake of having a fight. Like, he's just being very honest.
That Kendrick song, it's barely a song, but it's like,
right.
That's like heartbreaking.
Oh
to
yeah,
listen
it's
to.
hard to
really
listen
It's
to.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's so real.
Not one of my favorites on that record.
No.
This song's called "I Killed You."
I like this one.
This
Kinda
one is
dark.
very cool. It has that like circus carnival barker thing at the beginning, like a merry-go-round. It's very strange.
Also uses bass effectively, like I mentioned before.
Yeah, it's got this kind of like jungle thing going on too.
Yeah, I like how this first verse like it just keeps building up. Like it starts on like the congas and then like more and more instrumentation start building up. I don't like the back half quite as much. I think the back half is one of the ones that kind of lands into just like this melodic, pillowy like mix of strings and synth and stuff like that. But it starts off really strong.
Yeah, it does. And if I have one gripe with it, it's just that it's like a little bit too simplistic, I guess, for the rest of the songs. Like it's not as instrumental. Like just this part feels like very skeletal. Like there's these like big rumblings like in circus stuff, but like in terms of like the root notes, it's just like just this kind of back and forth that kind of feels like your like head is turning a little bit. Like maybe that was the intention a little bit, to kind of make you feel like you're going crazy.
Yeah, it's just like some congos, some like xylophone, and then like it'll be just a guy on a trumpet going.
Yeah, it feels like walking through like a fun house or something like that. Like I've been here before, but it's fucking, it's weirder. Yeah,
Freaking fun house.
This part reminded me a lot of Goblin again.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, Goblin is a lot like walking through a fun house, that whole record. So,
I mean, look at the cover.
Yeah,
You know,
Goblin
it's
is.
that vein.
I used to think Goblin was like the peak of like artistry and lyrical stuff. I was like, this
It'll
is
never
amazing.
get better than this.
Get any better. I listened to it recently. I was just like, oh my god.
No, I had a similar moment like when Flower Boy came out, where I was like, yeah, this is all right, but I remember liking his old stuff, and then like going to listen to his old stuff and being like, yeah, I guess this is way
really
better.
Says the F's are a
What's
lot.
the song where he says, "I'm a fucking triceratops"?
That's
Yonkers.
Yonkers.
Yeah, I like that song.
Yeah. Let's move on. Here's Judge Judy.
Yeah, I hate this song.
Yeah, this one was easily the weakest.
On an album that I very much like.
Yeah.
This one sticks out clear as day as like Skip.
Yeah, it's a skip.
Skip.
Agree. Yeah, the whole thing kind of just feels stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
Like this tempo isn't great. The singing is not his best, and it's like it all just kind of is tied around the like pun of Judge Judy.
Yes, that's the whole
That's
thing.
exactly what I thought. I was
They
like,
might have all been kind of baked and been like,
Yeah.
that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty genius.
it's like we should name a song Judge Judy.
Yeah, Judge Judy. If a lot of people get judged by Judge Judy, but has anybody ever judged
Judge
Judy? It's like that picture of like the galaxy going off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that Tim Robinson sketch. Like, I think you're just here for the zip line. It's
Yeah,
like,
oh,
I think
yeah.
you're just here because it was called Judge Judy, and we were able to make that pun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's about like just dating a girl named Judy.
Yeah.
And
It sounds like it's like he's picking up like a fan or something like that, or something that someone who doesn't normally do this kind of thing, and then like they're hooking up, and he's like, I'm not gonna judge.
I'm not gonna judge Judy.
Yeah.
It's not a great song.
No.
Yeah,
it's
and like the
not.
back half is another one of those ones that is just kind of becomes an instrumental.
Like we're a minute and a half in, and it should have ended already.
Like I said to you guys before we recorded, this was like a I can't think of the word, but like just a smaller song or something like that.
Yeah.
It would have made
like an interlude,
an interlude.
Yeah.
That I couldn't think of the word.
a smaller song.
One of those smaller songs.
An interlude.
Yeah.
If this was an interlude, it would have been much more palatable.
Yeah.
I want the
context.
8.5 minute Judge
Oh,
Judy cut.
the extended
God.
cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on from Judge Judy. Let's go to Sticky.
Ooh. So this has my girl Glorilla on it.
I think Sexy
And
Red.
Sexy
And
Red.
Sexy
Yeah.
Red.
And Lil Wayne.
And Lil Wayne.
That
yeah.
was the best part of not knowing the features, because this is one of my favorite songs on
Song
the record.
rules.
Yes.
And then like Glorilla hit, and we had just done the Glorilla
Yeah.
Sexy
Yeah.
Red song, so I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit, that's Glorilla.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. Then Sexy Red came in, and I was like, oh, that's even cooler.
Sexy
Yeah.
Red comes
And
in with like a small feature, but it's great.
Yeah.
All of them do. Like
Yeah.
almost every feature on the record, I think he's
Sure.
paying by the bar, because
Yeah.
like they are in and out.
Yeah, I like it.
And then
Yeah.
when Lil Wayne shows up, that's the last human being
I
maybe
know.
on earth I could have expected.
I know. Well, he was on Flower Boy too
Yeah.
on one of the songs.
I'm just saying paired with Glorilla and Sexy
Yeah,
Red.
100%. But yeah, this is like, you know how like when everyone kind of freaked out about Carnival, the song,
Yeah.
the Kanye West song, kind of like how anthemic and like gang
Yeah.
vocals. Like, I feel like this is kind of taking the place of that song this year as being like the big anthem. Like this was so great. Like
It's awesome.
it just fucking goes. So I read that like he did his listening party in like some big stadium, and it was like when this played, people were fucking losing it, and I was like, I can see why.
Well, you
It's a
got like
banger.
the
Yeah.
stomp claps going on.
Yeah.
You're talking about like whatever the fuck they're talking about.
Mhm.
It just rocks, dude. This is what it's all about.
It's kind of an outlier on the record, honestly.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this and Ratata like being the lone like absolute bangers.
Well, I feel like there's one other one
There's-
towards the
I-
back.
yeah, but I know what
Balloon's
you're saying.
kind of a banger.
Well, I was talking about Thought I Was Dead.
Oh, I thought
yeah,
it was dead.
I-
Yeah.
Anyways,
But yeah, this is like a nice change of pace after Judge Judy. If you're gonna hit me
Yeah.
with Judge Judy, you better hit me with an
You gotta
sticky.
get me a sticky. Is
And-
this Sexy Red?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like he puts
Sounding-
them in like the perfect context.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
both Sexy Red and Glorilla sound awesome
Yeah.
on this
Yeah.
beat.
Yeah. It is a thing, like, with how short he keeps his features. It's a thing that he does the whole record, not just with features, but with, like, oh, yeah. Gotta give him his spotlight, dude.
classic Lil Wayne flow.
yeah.
Wheezy,
He's
dude.
sounding great as ever, dude. He sounds great. But yeah, it's just a thing he's doing on all of his songs. He's not keeping anything too. He's not making anything go too long, aside from Judge Judy.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
like the intros and the verses, like it feels like it always keeps it short first, and then when it comes back, he's putting a new spin on things. He's like always making the song as exciting
I
as he
love
can.
the horns here, like adding this like
Yeah,
second part to this whole song.
Mm-hmm. and he sounds
He sounds
vicious as
great.
ever. I don't even think we've commented on like his flow.
Yeah.
I love his flow.
His flow's great.
He's
always.
got multiple, you know.
Yeah.
He really does like chameleon himself into whatever song he needs to be, because he can sensually rap or like whatever.
Yeah.
But then he can just sound like a badass too.
Yeah.
Or
like
goofy.
Goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take like Hey Jane, like how that goes, and then like here's something like this where he's just fucking right up in your face. He's never really lost it in terms of his flow. He's always been able to fucking go hard.
No, I mean that's one of the reasons why I like prefer the rap heavy stuff, because
he's
I mean
so good.
Yeah, I can appreciate like the musicality of everything that he's putting together, but just it's so good.
No one's making stuff like this. No one is doing stuff
Or bringing that much personality to their verses.
Yeah.
Like
and personality just to the song. Like you hear like I said, like Carnival. Like Carnival is like, it's good the first time you hear it, then you actually listen to it in headphones. You're like, all right, this is kind of fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And then you hear this, and it's like, there's horns, there's fucking crazy shit.
All over.
kinds
It's
of
so
stuff.
detailed, man.
Let's move on. This is Take Your Mask Off.
I like this one.
Yeah, this is another one that
I would
lyrically was really interesting.
I would consider it one of those interstitial songs. You know, it's not like a standout banger, but I wouldn't call it a weak point either. It's like if this is what your like mid-tempo tunes are gonna be like, I'm cool with it. You know.
No, I like it a lot. I think like he's a really good storyteller. Like he does a couple like storytelling type songs on it, and he does it well. And I think that this probably speaks. You know, if there is a theme of the record, this is speaking to what that theme might be.
Yes.
You know, because it's like he literally has a mask on on the front cover of the record.
Yeah.
And you know, he spent so much of his career kind of almost being a like character, like this Tyler the Creator, this insane wild kid. And on this record, he's becoming much more introspective.
Yep.
Really started with Flower Boy, but I would say this even more so. Feels more mature, introspective. And this whole song is just about people living lies.
Yeah.
And him telling them that you don't have to.
Yeah, I really like the way he did that. It's kind of like a such a dumb fucking comparison, but fucking once you really might know what it's like, you know that song?
Everlast.
Everlast song.
It
where
is kind of like
you
Everlast.
kind of go through like the trials and tribulations of like a character. So he does it with like a gangster with like face tats, but he, you know, it's kind of what he grew up like privileged, and then it was like a
gay pastor.
And then it's like a wife that's like unfulfilled.
Loveless marriage.
A loveless marriage, yeah.
Get a job, you fucking slobs. Oh,
exactly.
Yeah.
Get a job, you fucking slobs.
I like that both of your guys' impression, like that latter part of the verse just like trails off.
Oh, dude, if you were there in 1999 when that hit, dude, you would understand.
I was
called her a bitch and called her a hoe.
Is this the
called her
song-
a killer. And
You called her a sinner and you called her a hoe.
Is this the song? Maybe I'm confusing it with another because I've only listened to it a few times. But is this the one that's kind of like a diss track?
I thought it was at first.
It's not.
When I first heard the song, I was like, who was that about?
Like the last verse?
Well,
it seems
the
very
last verse.
accusatory.
The last verse seems personal. The last verse, I think he's just talking about himself. But it sounds like
he talks about like stage presence and things like that. Is that song we just listened to?
Yeah, it's this one. Take Your Mask Off.
So it's not a diss track.
It's not a diss track. When I first heard it, I listened to the whole thing, and then when I heard the last verse, I was like, maybe that was about Kanye West. Because like he was talking about
Kanye has been wearing a mask lately.
Yeah, I mean he was just talking about like, you know, like the preacher thing, and I was like, oh, is he saying something about Kanye? Because he's saying like his bars suck or whatever, and his stage presence is bad. But I think he's just telling stories about characters
being self-deprecating or something.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Could just be Drake again.
Could be Drake. This one's Tomorrow.
There's a piano line that comes in here that sounds very much like the melody line in Love Song. Right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that. That's a 311.
As we all know, 311's Love Song.
311's Love Song.
Tyler, you familiar?
Yeah, this is like the one. If I was to call anything an interlude on this album, I would call this one the interlude. I think it's Daniel Caesar, maybe the feature on this. I have to look that up.
He was on "Take Your Mask Off," but tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow he's also on this song. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not my favorite. The falsetto voice isn't my like favorite mode of his.
Yeah.
And it's still a personal song. I mean, he seems to be thinking a lot about fatherhood, of like whether he will or not have kids. There's a lot of that on this.
Yeah.
But I just don't find the instrumental that compelling. It's like very just kind of like
kind of comes and goes.
I can see this growing on me though, because and this will be part of my CA, but like this album is one I want to listen to a lot more. There's so much going on, and I feel like in the context of listening to this multiple times, maybe I appreciate it, but like 3 times through or something, I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think like this record is most definitely like a headphones album.
Big time.
So I feel like I listened to this album probably like 3 times already. Like I feel like I don't think I've ever skipped this one. Like I don't think anything ever made me want to go like it still feels like it plays a part.
No Judge Judy's in this one.
That was pretty much only Judge Judy.
Judge Judy.
Yeah.
Double J.
Double J. Let's move on to Thought I Was Dead. Yeah.
This one's pretty hard. I like this one a lot.
Another banger.
I was listening to this at the gym before this, and it got me fucking jacked up.
Does it do the job at the gym?
It does the job. I was ready to rip.
Yeah. He put out like a teaser of this one a couple days before the record too, I think. I felt like it was just because he was pumped about it, because I would be pumped about the song if I had it in my back pocket.
Yeah, it's like my favorite type of Tyler stuff, where it's just a cool, weird rap song.
Yeah.
You know, like it's hard, but it's strange. Nobody else but him could make it.
Yeah.
He's switching up his flow over and over again, and then again the Schoolboy Q feature is like
is that Schoolboy Q on this one? Yeah. Yeah, that right there reminds me so much of Goblin era. Just those
that like detuned.
Yeah, it's like it sounds like it probably was done on like a micro Korg.
Could have been
with plugged into an amplifier. Yeah.
I love this flow.
Oh yeah,
Schoolboy Q. My favorite kind of flow in a rap song.
Yeah, it feels like a Schoolboy Q song when he's rapping on it.
I don't know much Schoolboy Q.
And there's also like a bunch of clinky like pots and pans going on with like deep synth bass going on underneath. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. So it's like
it's so weird.
Yeah.
You're just like lost.
Yeah.
It's like you just losing all of your money in a slot machine.
Yeah.
It just hits you with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so great though.
Yeah.
Let's move on. This is Like Him.
This one says it's featuring Lola Young.
I don't know Lola Young.
I don't know who that is.
This song is
singer from the UK.
Another like sort of a story song, I guess. I mean, it's definitely about. It's one about like not knowing his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it plays into a lot of the themes of, you know, what was the Hey Jane?
Fatherhood, like.
Yeah, well, that idea of like maybe fathering a kid but not being a part of it, because she's like, I don't need you, I'm good on my own, and then it seems to be like him wrestling with that idea of like, what if I had a kid and I wasn't around the same way my dad was?
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of stuff about fatherhood of, just like, I think he says like one thing, like nothing can fulfill me like music does. Yeah. So there's like a hesitancy to want to do it.
Yeah.
But for the song, I appreciate the ideas at play and like thematically, but like the falsetto stuff just doesn't grab me as much as some of the other stuff does.
Really? I feel like he did a lot of the falsetto stuff on Igor, and that's like why I didn't love Igor.
Same.
But I thought you liked it, or you loved
I am
Igor.
the Igor stan.
You were Call Me If You Get
Call
Lost.
Me If You Get Lost
Okay.
is my favorite.
Sorry, I was getting the
getting the bald idiots mixed up.
Bald idiots mixed up.
When I squint, you look like the same thing.
That's why I wear a hat. No one could mistake me.
All 3 of us are bald though. For context. Oh shit!
Just give you a little heads up.
You save that for the page.
On the page,
that costs you $5 a month.
Yeah, I didn't mind this. I mean, it's I thought it was, it reminded me. He's done songs in the past about his dad, but it was definitely. This is the most mature, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it doesn't seem like he's harping on it as much. Like, there was a song on Wolf, which was called, I think it was called Answer, and like he goes like real hard about his dad. And this one feels like he's just like, if this was all we ever heard of it, it would be like very interesting. And the other thing about him wrestling with like possibly becoming the same type of father, like. Very mature, very cool. Kind of comes and goes though, as a song. I would say.
You would expect him to kind of go in that direction on his newest stuff,
Yeah.
as opposed to sounding juvenile. But I agree with you. It's compared to those prior things where he may be lamenting on heavier subjects. This one seems to be the most like sincere and like lovable. I don't know. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like. When he does go softer with some of his songs, it's like, the falsetto's not the best, but it's always just it's so pretty sounding.
Yeah.
Like the piano, like these like lush like synths that come up. It's just always like this. You're frolicking through like a garden or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I can always appreciate it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always like grab me immediately as a listener. Like, this takes talent. He's 100% like a super talented dude.
Yeah.
He's got like a signature kind of sound of a falsetto singing thing, and it sounds kind of shitty.
It does sound kind of shitty.
Like,
it's like something you have to get used to.
For sure. And it was something that initially, when I was trying to get into IGOR, distracted the shit out of me. I'm like, this is annoying. It doesn't sound good. But then for some reason... Like, I kind of went nose blind to it, and I was like, oh, this is just how this sounds,
Once you realize it's something that, like...
It's just his thing.
You will hear that when you hear a Tyler, the Creator record. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
It's something that he just does.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Here's Balloon.
So I heard the song, first time through, and I'm like, God damn it. We were having a really nice run here, and I thought I was gonna hate this.
Just from that opening sound.
Yes. But because it sound like you said, it sounds like Mario. Like we just we're like playing like a Mario Kart level or something like that, Rainbow Road. But it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, all right, fuck, what is that? And I love the don't stop. What is that from? Is that from a Kanye song?
That is.
Sample?
It sounds like it's a sample from something on Life of Pablo.
Yeah, I can't remember what song it is, but it's definitely a Kanye
either.
song. But yeah, I thought this was really cool. The Doshi feature is awesome.
Yeah,
never heard of her before, but damn. Really fucking spit fire.
Neither had I, but like specifically the way she starts getting more like aggressive reminded me of like the Nicki Monster verse a lot.
I thought so too.
That's a good call.
Yeah, I thought it was Nicki Minaj at first. I was like, Nicki Minaj is on this fucking record?
It's another one of those very colorful songs like I mentioned before. Yeah. I gotta look up what I know exactly. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I think it is a Kanye sample.
Yeah.
I want to... Yeah, it's fucking so aggressive.
Is it Fade?
No, it's not Fade.
Fuck. Saint Pablo, maybe? I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Stupid. Yeah.
I really like this song.
Yeah, this one's great.
I like his ability to take a song within the first like 10 sequends. You're like, this sounds like clown music, and it's just like a fucking banger. Like, and it's got all these layers going on.
It feels like she thought she was going to be on a much different song. Like a song with fucking pounding drums, but there's really like, is there drums even on this record?
I don't think they.
On this song.
On this song, I don't really think so. Oh.
No, I don't think there is.
I think it's just like a little hi hat.
And it's just the dun 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 doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And what initially annoyed me, I now enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like weirdly joyous.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly a guy that can just hear things that other people can't.
Yeah.
Like, he hears something out of context, and then he hears this context around it. And then by the time he builds it, I'm sure people are like, what the fuck? Where did you get that from?
I could make that cool.
That's the genius thing about these guys that make these songs. Like, Tyler, from what I've watched in, like, his Nardwuar interviews and stuff, is just a fucking music encyclopedia. He just swallows up, like, like he collects 45s and loves like all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
It's so cool, and you can tell with what he rips and what he puts in stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to say something else. Oh yeah, before you guys got here, I saw this song was soundtracking a TikTok where it was the Rizzler and Big Justice.
Oh, was it?
AJ on Jimmy
and
Fallon.
We've come.
And I was like, why do I know this? And I was like, oh, it's the new Tyler the Creator song. Here's the last song. I hope you find your way home. Kind of a nice, like, beautiful, heartfelt send off. It doesn't, like, the one thing about this is like it doesn't feel like it ties up any like loose ends. Like, I don't know. Like, I still am coming away from like the record at the end of the record not knowing what the true theme was. You know what I mean? But it's a pretty song.
Yeah, something I was gonna get into probably on my CAs, but I do feel kind of similar of, and it's really a consequence of just how good the last 3 albums have been, and how like holistic of an experience they felt like. Whereas we got introduced to this album and it really felt like it was going to be so consistent. Like every piece of the marketing was consistent. Yeah. And I kind of feel similar. I mean, it seems like for the most part it's about maturity, being honest with yourself, and being honest with your fan base. But it doesn't feel like all of the threads got tied together. Yeah. Some of my favorite songs on the record sound so different than what a lot of the rest of the record sounds like, Yeah,
I'd agree. I mean, he's still going hard at the end here.
And I think he's still talking about like parenthood and like the idea of having a baby again.
Yeah, I think it ends with like his mom. Like, there's a speech from his mom at the end that's like saying how proud she is of him.
I really
so that could kind of play into the parenting thing as well. But yeah, I mean, this song didn't like. I don't, it has him, spitting bars on top of it, but it is again like one of these pretty frolicking, kind of airy, mid-tempo ones that doesn't feel like it sticks with me. As much as the other tracks on the record. Like,
I was expecting from the ending of this record something more, and maybe it's just because it's something I always want from an album, but like a big epic ending, and it wasn't.
A grand closer.
A grand thing. And so I was initially disappointed that it didn't, explode or something.
Yeah.
But I really do think that it kind of serves what it is, because, like Evan said, like the bangers don't really resemble, and this is kind of just more of a bigger thing, the bangers don't really resemble the other stuff going on in the album. They kind of are outliers, but I think everything balances itself out enough where it's like, because if it was all heat the entire time, you might lose the significance of the heat if it's all just like people spitting. So with that, the closing song I think kind of spoke to me. And it kind of got to me. His mom saying she's proud of him. I'm like, damn, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Do we want to move into the CAs?
Let's go right in.
While this is kind of playing us off.
Yeah.
Who's going first?
I'll go as the big justice of the group. I really liked this. I am a Tyler fan for sure. I am not necessarily. I wouldn't. Maybe I disqualify myself immediately. I'm not like the hugest hip hop head. I don't really listen to this genre very much. But as I've mentioned in past reviews, like I get into like figures in music, and then I get into like their music or in some sort of order. And Tyler as a person is very much like captured my attention through his very, very particular and well done aesthetics, both with like fashion and the way he presents himself and artwork and things like that, and also his music, and all of that kind of is like a very significant piece to me of why I enjoy and respect a lot of what he's made. And so I saw this happening, and it happened really fast, and I was really excited for it. And it is so detailed, and so there's so many things to pick apart. it might be on the long side. I feel like there could be things that you could cut out, like Judge Judy as a whole, or maybe some of the slower things, whatever. But on the whole, I think it's the bright spots are so bright, and is like Igor's my favorite piece, and like one of you said, he's kind of painting with the brushes that he's acquired from all of the other albums. He's not necessarily creating a new paintbrush, you know, but I think the picture that he's putting together is really sick, and I really enjoy it, and I'm genuinely really excited to cycle through this and listen to it much more, pick out more things, hear things I didn't hear before, and appreciate everything as a whole. To tie a bow on it, I think I will give Chromakopia an 8.7 out of 10.
Wow. A big score.
That's a big
from
score.
Big Justice.
Yeah.
Big Justice.
Big Justice is usually a hater, and so that's
Yeah.
a rare occasion.
Didn't give it a doom, so.
No doom. A bow!
Do you want to go?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I liked it. I don't know if I liked it as much as some of the stuff that has come before it. I think his last 3 albums were great, and this is really good. And I think like part of it is the fact that at least I have been conditioned to expect each one to kind of push it a little further somewhere. And it didn't feel like we ever got like a little further anywhere on this record. Not like sonically, not performance-wise. I do think that the way that he was able to put all the things that he has done together already in different ways was impressive, and like some of the songs really, really work. For the sections where they kind of like fall into just like music and melody, there is a part of it that feels like, well, I heard this on IGOR before, or I heard this on this before. But the standout tracks are like really, really good in my opinion. Yeah, it was a bit of a mixed bag. I feel like it sags a little bit in the middle. I think it starts off great, and there's some ones on the back half that are really great as well. I think I'm gonna go 7.6.
7.6. Yeah, I mean, I felt like pretty much the same as you, honestly. Like, I thought, like, the main thing I took away listening to this record was just like, this sounds like Tyler, but it doesn't sound like Tyler, like, hungry to do something artistically different. Like, maybe being more artistic and like different on like the presentation side of things, and the way the album cover and the promo videos and like the album rollout happened, like doing something different that way. But like nothing here was like something we hadn't heard from him before, even though it did mix a lot of the like his old aesthetics together, like from his early days with his newer stuff. But like I remember hearing like Flower Boy and being like almost like I missed the old Tyler. Even though it was like a new thing and it sounded great, I was like, damn, he's changed so much. And then when Igor came around, I missed the Flower Boy. And I was like, damn, I really was like getting used to him doing that kind of thing. And then when Call Me If You Get Lost came out, I was like, damn, he really kind of abandoned like the like R&B thing that he was doing on Igor. And this one just kind of felt like I was just like, oh, he's kind of just doing everything, like,
yeah.
Which is cool. But it was also like, I guess me missing the thing was always kind of the beauty of Tyler, where you're just like, I can't wait to see what he does next. Where this just felt like a like flat out like Tyler the Creator album. No one could make an album like this except for him. Like that, I think that's 100% true. But yeah, I guess I was just kind of missing like the experimentation and like the just weirdness. I felt like I heard a lot of this stuff before, even though it was different. Like, you know, he's had confessional songs before. Like, I really like Hey Jane, great. But yeah, I've heard him do a diary type of song before. I mean, I think it's like another solid addition in this like slew of albums that he's putting out, but I wouldn't call it anything other than like a solid addition. You know, to me, I still think Flower Boy is probably the best out of the 4. I'm not even sure where I'd put this one. Probably maybe at the bottom, maybe fourth, maybe third for me. I'm not really sure. It just kind of feels like, you
weren't an
a
Igor
mixed
guy,
bag.
though.
I really wasn't an Igor guy, but I feel like Igor was so different that I would still give it a little bit more credit than this one. I was thinking a 7.5 for this.
Okay.
7.9.
Fair.
I think it's a fair hell
that's
yeah.
a fair.
A fair hell yeah.
That's a fair hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty fair.
It's the fairest
You can't
hell yeah.
yell at us for that one. I don't think.
If you thought it was great, you got him. If you thought it was all right,
you got us.
You got us.
That's the beauty of it, man.
That's what it's
I'm
all
gonna
about.
give this one 7.9 booms out of 10.
Yeah, 7.9 booms
We're giving
out
this-
of 10.
We're
Hell
not
yeah.
we're not gonna say boom that
We're
many
giving
times.
this. I'm gonna give this one a doom.
I'm gonna give this a Jimmy Fallon out of 10.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon. His excitement over the boom.
An
over doom.
unexcited Jimmy
Yeah.
Fallon out of 10.
Yeah. So let us know if you're gonna give this a boom. In the
Or a
comments.
doom.
If you give
Or
it a
a
boom,
doom.
leave us a boom
Yeah.
in the comments.
God damn. I'm so Rizzler brained right
Yeah, we really
Do
have
this
to
we
stop.
really gotta
stupid
stop.
ass dance.
But yeah, if you tell us what you thought of the album. Comment down below. Tell us if you agreed with JJ or if you agree with me and Evan. Tell us if you think this is Tyler's best or his worst or whatever it is for you. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and sub to our Patreon page where you can watch the newest episode. Still bringing it. We go through a bunch of different tracks, including including Noid from this record. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Tyler, the creator's getting a fair hell yeah, 7.9 out of 10. It's I Quit My Band. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.